Hello and welcome to Roll for Review, where we are going to take a look at the very best in crowdfunding tabletop RPGs in the second half of April. We are super excited. I think we were all talking before the show, and we might have the best selection of projects so far in 2020. There's just been so many amazing projects that have launched. But I'm Joe, creator of The Wanderer's Guide, and I manufacture, produce, and fulfill board games and tabletop Kickstarter projects for a living.
Hello, humanoids. I'm Hannah, also known as Halfling Hannah, and I'm a forever DM and creator of DM resources over on Patreon, YouTube, and my website, halflinghobbies.com.
And I am Alex Corral, a designer and marketer for The Wanderer's Guide, and I'm an everyday gamer and RPG player.
And together, we are Roll for Review, the three of us with very different tastes and experiences coming together to look at all of the tabletop RPGs available. We collect these tabletop RPGs much like Strahd collects brides, and then show off the very best to you. You like that one, Alex?
That was good.
We collect them exactly that way.
We put them in a nice, pretty little tomb, and we just put them on display, and it's great. But we have gathered all of these TTRPG-related Kickstarter campaigns during this period, and each of us has chosen our three favorite projects. And we're going to take turns explaining this project, telling you what we find most interesting and unique about these particular Kickstarter projects, discussing their tier levels and what we think is the best value from our experience. And then once we explain and discuss these, we are going to give each one a roll for review. This is a number from 1 all the way up to 20, like you would have on a 20-sided dice. This is, I think we all agree, pretty much very subjective.
Very subjective.
But it's very subjective. But it's our how would you put it? It's our number.
Own little internal. It's our internal ranking. We have some things that we discuss that
system.
In terms of a Kickstarter page and how it's structured, what type of information, maybe some of the price point goes into that. But then most of it is our kind of personal opinion and what we like about it.
Yeah. And just like in D&D, these are modifiers. We can add positive modifiers or negative modifiers to our overall roll to give us a roll for review.
And here's the thing, right? Like, people ask all the time, they're like, what are the credentials for the score that you give it? I was like,
or none.
I was like, what we do is we look at the Kickstarter project and we go, I'll give it this. It's
a gut. It's a gut plus a couple of things that we just know about, Kickstarter structures and how we interpret the page along with the game and project.
It's a gut plus logic.
The most official way that I can describe it is, how many times do I go through the Kickstarter page and does it make me go, ooh? And the more...
It's a new number.
You need an ooh modifier now.
How many oohs did it get?
Yeah, exactly. So that is the very scientific reasoning behind our scoring system here on Roll for Review.
Exactly. And so each of us have our three projects, and we are going to get started with Joe. What project do you have today?
Oh man, we're jumping right into it. I feel like we have more things, but I maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just like
maybe we do
walking through. But all right, well, I will kick it off, guys. Today, the very first project I am going to talk about is Stormweavers, story-driven solo tabletop game. As a dwarven warrior, you undertake a journey across the icy north of Midgard to find and rescue your friend. So this is a solo RPG game, okay? And we'll dig a little bit into that. But I want to call attention. This is the first project that is brought to us by a Polish person who I cannot pronounce their name. And I don't...
Paweł Dziemski?
You would think that, but also I work with a Polish guy whose name is Przemek, and it's Przmek, and it's pronounced Przemek. And I still remember the first time I ever met him, I went to the booth and I was like, hey, can you show me where this guy is because I had no idea how to pronounce that. And they're like, oh, that's Shemek. I was like, yeah, literally a million guesses. I
Sure
would
it
have
is.
never
Yeah.
gotten to that. But anyways, Paweł, this is his very first Kickstarter campaign. But with his first project, he's got 16 days left, over 1,100 backers, and over $66,000 raised. And I believe that
very nice.
I believe as we look at this, we're going to understand why. So in Stormweavers, you play as Thyman the Dwarf. And you are part of this legendary dwarf clan that is looking for your long lost friend, and you are traipsing across the world looking for where he's been, looking for the mystery, uncovering these different things. But the entire process is done through this really cool choose your own adventure. So every paragraph you read is basically a choose your own adventure. So you can look at some of the examples here on the page, and it will say the road leads through the ice forest. Every time you have to plunge into its depths, you feel anxiety. What's worse, out of unknown causes, it's always colder than the rest of the surroundings. You plow between frosted trees, white icicles hang from branches. After some time, you get to the crossroads. And then, do you go west, east, or north? And depending on where you go, it's going to lead you to a different passage in the book, which will dictate the outcome, who you meet, what happens. So you are controlling this story as you uncover different places in the world map. This is really cool. They have like a lottery scratch off world map, and as you go to different places, you can like scratch off the world map. I really like that. That's
I like that a lot.
Really cool. But and here's what makes me very excited about this, and what I feel makes this very different. We've talked about a lot of very cool solo RPGs that are sometimes they're like journaling exercises almost, or very surreal storytelling narratives kind of things. This one looks like it's a little bit more of a like something to chew on, because there's this choose your own adventure, but when you get into combat, there are battle maps that you pull out and they tell you where to put the enemies, and you actually have a D&D kind of combat encounter where you are playing as your character defeating monsters, and it comes with monster standees and little beautiful like little placeholder maps that you put with little grids and stuff that I have never seen before. I have never,
not for solo,
including all that,
yeah, like we've seen products like this, but we've never seen a solo game that's like, hey, you're in combat, set up the combat like this and fight. You know the combat rules, fight. And so I really thought this was such a cool product that when I was looking at it more and more, and there were so many great products, but I kept coming back to this one going, oh man, this looks really good. This looks really good. And the more I read about it, the more I saw how well together. Alex is scrolling through the page, letting you guys see all of the cool black and white, gorgeous illustrations in this book. There are so many fantastic things about this that makes me excited that I go, this is very well put together. This is extremely well researched, well created. They have a lot of reviewers, so if you want to like get some other people's opinions on this, they have lots of reviewers that are talking about this product. But I just thought that this was one of the better solo things that I have seen. What do you guys think? I mean,
first of all, cardboard standees I love. I feel like more things should do this. They are super easy storage, and especially if you're doing solo RPG, you're going to want to be able to store this easily. And so love that. And they're really pretty, like really well done. Also, did you say Midgar? So this is like Viking era?
Yeah, I think it's very Viking-esque.
Yeah, I'm down. I love Viking.
I really like the art style. It's got a ton of saturation to the color, and it's very contrasty. So it's just got this really unique art style that's super pleasing to the eye. But I also really like the choices they made in terms of like the overall components, like you were saying, the cardboard standees. But I think we really just that scratch off map is such a unique idea to have that kind of fog of war effect. And I think that's something that is definitely not. I haven't seen a usage of something like that before, and that's
and it makes perfect sense with the solo because you're gonna see the whole map, like you're the DM too. So to have that fog of war is really an excellent idea.
Yeah, I think that's super smart.
Yeah.
Super smart.
So let's talk about cost, right? If you just want the book and it comes with the character sheets and the cardboard enemies and the combat maps. So the base pledge is the character sheets. It gives you a piece of paper to draw the map on. It gives you a storybook. It gives you the cardboard enemies, and it gives you the combat map. So all that is included in the very basic pledge, $46. And I think that is a steal.
Yeah.
Because this book is over 350 pages. That is a lot of content.
Jeez.
And this is something that like I feel you could play and give to a friend that also would enjoy it. Like this is something that I think lives beyond just like the use that you get out of playing through it. If you want to only play through it one time, I believe that you could play through multiple times because there's several endings. So $46, extremely cheap.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about the high end because some people might want more of the high end. So what does the high end include that is in addition to all the stuff that we already mentioned? Well, that's where you get the scratch off maps. You get some custom dice for playing the game. So it gives you the dice to play the game with. It gives you the minis that are made out of organic glass. I don't know what that means.
What does that mean?
I have no idea, but it sounds cool. All right.
How can glass be non-organic? Isn't it just like sand, or is that a myth?
I have no idea.
I see them on the page here, and it's super cool, but I still don't. You know what I picture? Those kind of acrylic keychains where you sometimes have the art, but it's glass.
Yeah.
I think it's similar to that.
Oh, that's dope. I'm down with that.
That's super cool.
You get wait for it, a custom Stormweaver pencil. Boom. And a really beautiful Dwarven coin, which is used for some checks in the game. You have a coin to use for checking, but in addition, you can use it to scratch off the map.
I was just gonna say you can use it to scratch off the map.
Yeah.
So
I was like, immersion. I love it.
So this is the version that kind of includes all the pretty things. Only $86. So still not bad, right? Like I think everybody was expecting me to say a much higher number, but I feel $46 and you get everything you need to play, tons of content, the cardboard standees, the battle maps, everything. Like they're not saying just the book. It's like all the stuff, right? But then if you want like all of these like kind of deluxe extras, that's $86, which doesn't seem like that much extra compared to how we look at prices a lot of times in this like space. So I've got to give this a roll. And I labored on it a little bit. And what I came down to is it was very difficult for me to find a lot of fault with this. The page is beautifully put together. The story looks really fun. The solo kind of like, I wish there was an opportunity to have multiple characters and use this as kind of like a family activity as well, so that you could have like a couple of dwarves and do the adventure together. I wish that was an option, so it wasn't strictly one player. That was kind of like one thing where it's like, how difficult would that be to make it just a little bit broader? But super solid project, hard to find a fault with it. So I'm going to give it a 16, and then I'm going to give it a +1 because the part of the project that really got me was the cardboard standees and the battle maps being included. That was very classy and one of the most innovative things I've seen in this like solo RPG place. So, Paweł, great job, great project. I'm going to give you a 17. Really excited about Stormweavers.
Awesome.
But, yeah, let's keep this rolling. Let's move on to our next project.
Okay, next project is me, and this one it's not as in depth, but I still think it's super cool. It's Bed Bath and Behemoth is an epic 5e adventure. This has already met its goal. It had a very small goal. It's at over 3,000 with 186 backers. It's got 8 days to go, still time to go and pick it up. But what makes this really unique is that this is an adventure specifically for level 17 to level 20 characters. Which, if you know anything about D&D, it's like that's the mythical range.
Yeah.
Where if you can get a group to stay together for that long, like you are doing something right. It doesn't normally happen. Even one-shots at level 20 rarely happen because it's so much work to level a character all the way up to 20 just for a one-shot, right? We did it once. We killed a god. It was great. But this one is for level 17 to 20. And I think that's part of the reason why it's doing so well is that we just don't see it. One, there may not be that big of a market for it, but also like
there's a gap.
There's a gap. We just don't see it. So I'm super excited about this. The artwork I find adorable and intriguing. Like he's just totally chilling and enjoying himself a nice soak. And I can totally relate to that. So that's part of the reason why I got this. Also, and there's not a lot on this page. There's not much to look at other than the cover art, and we'll talk about that in a second. But some of the features of this is that there's an artifact in here called God's Rest that will make your dreams come true. So that's a perfect artifact for level 20 where they're already like gods anyway. So I love that. I'm really intrigued to see that. There's an underground city that's full of undead. There's more cave-dwelling Gricks than you can shake a stick at, is what it says. There's a herd of petrifying Gorgons, and there's a famous hot springs. It says, come for the famous hot springs, stay for worldwide destruction. And I am down for that. That sounds awesome. So basically what this is that there's this famous hot springs and your adventurers are going to enjoy a nice soak maybe after they saved the world, except that they can't get in because this behemoth has taken over the hot springs and refuses to leave. And what begins as a simple pest solution problem, go and get the thing out of there, turns into something much, much deeper and more interesting.
So
we don't know that.
Is this Spirited Away?
Okay, maybe.
Perhaps.
D&D Spirited, perhaps.
This evokes thoughts of Spirited Away.
It does. It definitely does. Which now all I want is to use my anime 5e set that I got from one of the other roll for reviews that we did and make that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And make that.
Yeah.
By the way, if you haven't seen that episode, they are over on our YouTube channel, Roll for Review, where you can go and see all of our other Roll for Reviews in case you missed them. This is 9. We're on 9 already.
Episode
which is
9,
fun.
yeah.
About
to hit double digits.
Yeah, double digits.
And we have so many like special get like we have so many.
That was you, Alex. I thought that was special effects. I was
No,
like,
that was
what?
you.
We have so many like
Thanks, neighbors.
special fun guests that like our fans have like come to know and love, like Thumbuddy and Thumbuddy and Hannah's Amazing Curtains, and just like
Hey, I'll have you know that because of you owe me $86 because new curtains are coming on Amazon tomorrow because of you. So enjoy that.
Yeah.
Enjoy that
Oh
knowledge
my
of what
gosh.
you made me do. Anyway,
to-
Behemoths. BB. So that's all we really get on this, but the creators, this is kind of what they do. They make a whole bunch of adventures. What was the name of the creator again?
Menagerie Press.
Menagerie Press, who we've covered before.
We've covered them before because they create really interesting adventures. They really do. But they just churn out a whole bunch of them. So if you're looking to pick this up, I am sure that it's going to be a fantastic adventure. They have a long history of making really cool little adventures. So $8 you can get it PDF, or $8 you can get a paperback version. Both will be in June of this year, so you can get either one in just a couple months, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And
quick.
if you want both the PDF and the paperback, then they give you a price break. You can have it for $13. But interestingly, if you pay $100, you can have all of the adventures that Menagerie Press has done. And they have done a lot of really good ones. We reviewed the Waxworm Bounties, was one of the ones that we reviewed before. So you can pick that up. What do you guys think? Do you think you would like to... Joe, first of all, do you think your party's going to get to level 17 through 20?
I have.
They're going to make it?
I have. So, okay, I would like to know, Hannah, what is the longest you have ever run a campaign for? What is the longest? Because you've been DMing longer than I have.
Yes. So a single group,
one campaign.
Okay, so single group, one campaign with some changes in the group, probably about a year and a half.
Okay.
And they got to 15.
Ooh, you leveled up fast.
Yeah.
So
I'm known for giving out levels when I shouldn't. I
Okay.
like to let them level up.
so I feel like we're at a very leisurely leveling up pace. Like some people aren't good with it. Some people want to level up faster. I'm making them wait. I'm trying to like really like be
Delayed
smooth with it.
gratification. You're such a good dad.
We meet weekly, and we took like a break in December, but like we meet weekly, and we are on session number 28. So we've been meeting for a little over half a year,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
we've been going a little over half a year, and we're at level 6.
5 right now.
Yeah, so we're going into level 6 sooner rather than later. So they've been at level 5 for a bit. So that's kind of where I'm at. So maybe level 15 by the time we hit there, but we do meet weekly, and I feel
It's a big difference.
I'm setting stuff up. I'm trying to set stuff up so that like the adventure can continue to further levels if they want. But I think once you get to level 15, things do tend to get a little boring, and you kind of want to start over, make a new character.
Destroy everything. And if they still have the same character at that point, you're getting to the end of their story arcs. Like they should be, fulfilling whatever it is that they set out to do. And so I feel like this would be a perfect like retirement one, where
That's a good idea.
everything's kind of ended. You're going to these famous hot springs. Maybe the king sends you there as a thank you. Like, have a nice weekend on us for saving the world.
Congrats.
And then here's like this one last little adventure where you end up going underground and like saving the world from something that they didn't know was
There's a lot of I'm getting too old for this crap.
Yeah, exactly. And so let's go on to my role for review on this one for a variety of reasons. One, we don't get a whole lot else other than the cover art. I would have really, really liked to see some more of this adventure. But Menagerie Press, this is what they do. They give us a lot of adventure. So, I get it. Also, 17, I don't know if I'll ever get there to actually be able to play it. So there's that factors into it as well. And I ended up giving this a roll of 12.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid. And I mean, it's
good.
It's an adventure module, right? It's like, I'm not saying like what it's doing is not good, but what it's doing is not super unique, but it looks good. I personally would have given it +1 for pun. For a good pun, right? I feel like a good pun deserves a +1.
+1 for pun.
Pun 1.
Pun 1. Love it.
Yeah, I didn't do it though, so it's my project. It gets
Alex.
All right. So what I'm going to be talking about for my first project is Into the Feywild. Fey critters for D&D 5e, and it's a book of Fey-themed critters and a fantasy adventure in the Feywild, which is super interesting, and it's something that I've always thought would be a really, really interesting place to explore. For example, I am actually a big fan of like the Pokemon games. I'm a big Pokemon fan. In the most recent game, they had this whole area that's this forest that was all glowy and very Feywild-ish, and I've always wanted to find a way to explore some type of adventure like that. It's always been super interesting to me. So when I saw this, I immediately thought of that. And I thought of this area. And this is a 33-page book that contains a Fey-themed adventure plus 18 new Fey-themed critters from CR0 to CR11. In these pages, you'll find jackalopes, wampus cats, dreaming trees, flower mice, other beasts inspired by folklore. You'll venture into the Hedgegrove, the realm of Princess Dandelion, an immortal archfey of the Summer Court, and it's created by Morris, which has about 23 other campaigns that they've worked on, and they have actually smashed past their goal of $694, and they've raised $15,370 with about a little over 400 backers, and they only have 7 days to go, so you only have a week. And what I'm actually doing is I'm actually sending the links to all of our projects into the chat as well, so if you want to click on that, it'll take you directly to these if you're interested in backing. But this is super, super interesting. But there's one thing that I did notice. They have descriptions of these adventures, and you're looking at, for example, an adventure from Kiel, and this is a name I'm going to butcher, Kiel Chenier, Chenier, I don't know. Adventurers are trapped in a strange land. Can they find their way home? And can they navigate the labyrinth? From stranger woods, fearsome critters, beasts of the Feywild, all these different things. And they have these awesome lists of monsters. But the only monster they show is the Sylvan Spaniel, which
It looks like a dog.
looks like a dog. It's a cute spaniel. It's a pup. It's a pupper.
I mean, you can't go wrong with a pupper.
Can't go
But
wrong with a pupper.
I desperately want to see a swarm of flowering mice.
Yeah, I think
really bad.
they leave a little bit to be desired here, and they have a sneak preview here, kind of a quick peek inside, and they have really, especially the cover art from Stranger Woods has a really cool cover art there. Same thing with Fearsome Critters, and it's super interesting, but they don't really show much of the other characters, and that's something that kind of left a little bit to be desired for me, especially because this is an area that, for example, for me, I'm a very visual player. As I've talked in previous episodes, I love having physical things that make the experience a lot more in-depth and immersive. And, for me, I want to look at something like this and see beautiful images that take me in, right? And they're not really grabbing me immediately.
Your Kickstarter page is a store. It's a store. That
exactly.
And the people that are backing are customers that are walking into your store. And if your store does not entice them to press the back button, then they're going to walk back out the door without buying anything.
Exactly. So I think over in that part there, you're hitting a negative for me, and that's going to kind of come down in terms of my role. But for example, for price point here, you can get the soft cover book for $28.
I want to say something really quickly, Alex, because this might impact your score a little bit. Okay. We covered them on a episode literally like about 3 episodes ago, and I covered the same company that produced one-page adventures. This is already in my hand, the printed physical version of the book. This will be delivered to you. They launch their Kickstarters and they're ready to go. As soon as the Kickstarter ends and they know how many they need, they press print and they ship it to your door. This is ready to go.
Quick delivery,
so if you're looking for something that you're going... So like a lot of Kickstarters, you back and you wait sometimes years to get your product, right? This one, I guarantee you'll be holding in your hands in less than 60 days. So that's something that I do find, as far as from this company.
Why can't I see flowering mice now?
That's a good point. They might need the funds for the artist to finish I don't know. I can't speak to the actual publisher, but I will say I was very impressed with the fact that I pressed back and I got the book.
Yeah. And that does go into my review. I think it's extremely important as you're looking at pages to take a look at delivery dates, take a look at what comes with it. And that should factor into if you're going to hit that back button, right? If you are going to pledge that $28. You could actually also pledge the $84 and get all PDFs of all of their books, which is Into the Feywild, 65 Enchanted Trinkets, Advanced Rules, Allies and Adversaries. It's got all these books. Or you can get them as soft covers for about $200, which in my opinion, I would go for the PDF.
I look at this though, man. So I covered one-page adventures like 4 episodes ago. Since then, and you're covering Into the Feywild now. Since then, they had 2 other Kickstarters that launched and finished.
Oh,
and
there's Here Be Dragons. Here Be Dragons. We almost covered that one too. Yeah.
And Allies and Adversaries was on my short list. They're good. I mean,
they go quickly.
They're good.
Their products are good because we almost always end up covering them, or at least it's like, oh, I really want to cover this one. Me and Hannah were like back and forth about Here There Be Dragons, and it just narrowly made the short list.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Again, all of that definitely goes and factored in here. And I think they have a solid business model that keeps them going, and they seem to consistently hit success, which is absolutely fantastic. And I think this theme really caught me, and I don't necessarily need all the things that I've talked about, but it's definitely things that would have given me a plus and would have maybe I would have hit that back button a lot quicker. So for my roll, I'm just going to give this, because of the content that comes in it, and if we're going kind of based on Hannah's 12 as well, I'm going to give this a 14.
Solid
Okay.
roll.
Yep.
Solid.
I'm going to give this a 14. So we've gone through 3 projects. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to hear from one of our hosts, and we'll be back in about a minute.
Hello, humanoids. I'm Halfling Hannah, the creator behind Halfling Hobbies. And here at Halfling Hobbies, you are going to find DM resources and only DM resources. We are here for dungeon masters, creating all sorts of things from puzzle templates and downloadable puzzles to DM binder pages, NPCs, loot cards, everything that you could possibly need to help give your game advantage. All of it comes with a healthy serving of food and drink, along with that special halfling hospitality. So grab a mug of ale and a slice of cake, sit back, relax, and dig in to Halfling Hobbies.
Hey everybody, we're back. We are ready to rock. Joe, Alex, Hannah, somebody, all here.
Pixel, my cat.
This was right. I mean,
The gang's
special
all
guests left and right. So
Celebrities.
I was just saying during the commercial break, I'm a little nervous to talk about this next project because it's a big boy. It is a big boy. This might end up being the biggest Kickstarter RPG of the year. I don't know, but it's got 23 days left to go. It has almost 7,000 backers and has raised over $850,000. So they are getting very close to a mill. But what this is Ouroboros, Coils of the Serpent, an epic 5e fantasy campaign by Chris Metzen. And this is by a new company called War Chief Gaming. And this is their first product that they're bringing to market. But I need, before we can even begin to talk about the product, we have to spend a little bit of time talking about the pedigree. So this is the brainchild of Chris Metzen, who was one of the head people at Blizzard during the heyday of Warcraft and StarCraft and Diablo and all of these amazing properties that every geeky person in the world knows and loves. Like, this is a person that in geek culture, you stand up and salute when he walks by. You know, like this is yes.
Or as Broomhalsen says, all hail Papa Metzen.
Yes, exactly. This is an amazing product because it's really exciting to see somebody with that level of, you know, accolades enter into this RPG space in this very indie way, right? So let's talk a little bit about Ouroboros, Coils of the Serpent, okay? So this is World Book Law Brand, which is a campaign setting for Chris Metzen's own personal campaign setting of Law Brand. And what it is centered around a world that is 8 humongous trading histories mixed in with the mystery of the Oroboros. Okay, so this is kind of what this campaign setting is all about. Is you've got this world with over 100 pages of lore that is like steeped in this campaign setting, and you get this beautiful world map of Law Brand. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the maps later because of course I am.
Joe's
of course I am. But we'll wait till we get there. But there's a lot of really cool stuff that's coming in here. They have new races and subclasses. So they have 5 races. And Alex, I need you to show this because they allow you to play as salamander people.
Yes.
Called the Salamar. And
it's so cool.
That is the best thing I've ever seen. Like, I love
the eyes.
Last episode we talked about a different campaign setting, and we talked about the Tanuki race. No, Salamar. That is now the standard that all of your homebrew races are going to be held to here on Roll for Review.
Joe, the story you did where we went on a moon quest, and your character, what was it, Glenn? What was it,
Glenn?
Glenn. I picture him to be a Salamar.
Yeah.
Yes, I picture him to be a Salamar.
A little hippie. Look at it. He's got the fringe. He's got the fringe, not jacket, but
the vest. The little leather vest.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've got 4 subclasses that are a part of this. And here's the part that I really like. 8 trade cities. I really like this concept of these 8 massive trade cities that form this interconnected network of guilds and goods that kind of travel around this world of Lawbrand. It's a really nice way to set up this infrastructure of this world and kind of steep yourself in the setting with having a very grounded way to look at how the world works. Okay. Now, the other big half of this world setting is this thing called the Mark of the Serpent, which is a new game mechanic in which you can take on extremely powerful abilities, but at a very detrimental cost to your character's well-being. And so they've built this entire game mechanic, if you're playing in this Lawbrand universe campaign setting, that you can use the Mark of the Serpent and use the Oroboros in order to like provide extremely powerful actions, but it is going to take a toll from your character's well-being. So this is really, really cool. And I like how much they're putting into it. Some of the other things that I wanted to really quickly talk about, if you back at a certain level, they have a second book that you can get called Under the Sun, which is a story that is literally a written narrative adventure that is based on Chris Metzen's own personal campaign and that he DM'd when he created this world. So they've basically taken that entire session and turned it into a book, which is really cool. Okay. There's so much. It's really difficult to talk about everything that is in this product and everything that you can get. But there's a few things that I want to talk about. And let's go ahead and start with the price, and then we can talk about some of the other aspects. So I'm not even going to talk about the digital bundle, because if you want the digital bundle, if you're the PDF person, it's cheaper, right? But if you want the book, right? Like if you want the book, which is I feel what you want, like the beautiful art, what you're getting, you want this book. $50 for a hardcover. That is
very reasonable.
That's
middle of the road. Like not like that is exactly what you are accustomed to paying for a world book like this. Okay. But now we're going to have to talk about the Epic Adventurers bundle. So I want to give people the high and the low. I want to give them the high and the low here, right? Because in my personal opinion, the high and the low, right, is like where you're going to end up. If you want to go in between, there's like 2 things in between, but I feel like the high and the low is where you're going to be at with this. If you want the Epic Adventures bundle, it's $200, but let's talk about what you get. You get these beautiful leather-bound embossed books. So this is where you get the Under the Sun book, and you get the campaign book, and you get this beautiful like faux leather like book holder, which is just absolutely beautiful to look at. Premium character sheet. So you get these like very thematic 5e character sheets to like do all of your character creation with. You get some beautiful custom dice that look incredible. You get ability and item cards for all of the stuff that is in the books. You get the GM screen, you get the world map, and here's where I wanted to stop and talk about. You get a city map poster packs of the 8 trade cities. And here is the thing that is really exciting. These are maps that are drawn by Francesca Barald, who is one of the most famous like map cartographers in the business. If you want amazing looking like fantasy map drawings, you go to Francesca Barald or Andrew Bosley. Hint, hint. But like these are extremely gorgeous and extremely thematic, and like these are maps that you want to hang on your wall. They are that beautiful.
Yeah.
So they've broken through a ton of stretch goals. You're going to get so much extra stuff piled into this
So
product.
much stuff.
It looks amazing, but decide what you want. Do you want the book with all of this information, or do you want all the goodies? And the difference is $50 or $200. And I feel like you can decide if you want something in between that. Totally fine. If you want just the PDF, it's $25. But I want to let you guys comment on this because this is a big product. This is one of the biggest products we've seen so far in 2021.
Yeah. I don't even know where to start. Yeah, of course, me first. Like, I don't even know where to start. This is incredible. Like, straight up, this is incredible. I love the detail and the sheer amount that you get. I mean, this, honestly, it reminds me of like Eberron level, where you have all of these different like houses and how they communicate and how the different feels of the cities. Like, all 8 of these are going to be a different feel to the city, and the way that they interact with each other is going to be like such a cool part of this game. I love the Serpent marks, and I love that he took the idea of marks because they're not necessarily new, right? I mean, Eberron has dragon marks, all that stuff, but he took it, and it's not just something that you get that just gives you a benefit. Like, there's something that you have to give up in order to receive that benefit, and really making players weigh whether or not a situation is worth it to use that. I love that mechanic, because anything that makes my players like really think about a decision, I'm all about. So I love that. I love the desert dwarf. I love it. I like the salamander's great, but the desert dwarf is a really cool idea too, because you have like mountain dwarves and stuff. So it makes sense to have that. That's a cool extra race. So there's so much here.
There's
That's
so much.
And here's the thing. It's so well laid out too.
So
you understand exactly.
It's a
So that's what I was
joy
going to
to
touch
go
on.
through this page.
That's what I was going to touch on. As a designer, I have to just hold this up and say, do this, everyone do this.
Yep.
It is
Oh,
first of all, not everyone's going to get those top tier artists, right? Not everyone's going to have the best art in the game. That's not going to happen. But you have every opportunity to find ways to lay out your page cohesively in any level that you have, whatever available to you, to put forth what your project is. And as Joe said earlier, it is your shop. It is your storefront. And what they've done here is not only show exactly what you're getting beautifully, perfectly, and concisely, but there are other things here that as you learn more, it expands your interest. So you look at this, you look at the stretch goals they've unlocked, and you see new things that they've added. For example, for me, they've unlocked STL miniatures. So I can actually download and add STLs if I want to buy those. They've added onto that experience in really new, interesting ways. And in terms of graphics and design, the text is large. The prices are easy to see. The Kickstarter exclusive marks are easy. So you get that this is an exclusive to your Kickstarter. They've laid this out so perfectly and so concisely that at that point you go, what reasons do I have to not back this? Other than you might not have the money, or it's just not your cup of tea. Those are like the two options.
Those are the only things. I love also all of the text is not more than a paragraph. And there's never a point where you're not seeing this gorgeous art. A big mistake that we see people make is like the races. When you're presenting races, they'll give like this huge background to the race. Honestly, I don't need to know that if I want to see it. Just the picture and the name, that's enough. That's all I need. And it's very intriguing. I love it.
Guys, I have to score this.
Joe.
I have to score this.
It better be what I think it is.
So I've thought long and hard, and I'm going to give this an 18 +1 for those gorgeous maps by Francesca. +1 for those gorgeous maps by Francesca. And +1 for the Salamar. So 20. It's a 20.
It gets a 20.
I think it should be a natural 20. So I think it should be 22. That's my opinion. It's incredible. Like, it's so good.
It's so
this
good.
may be the best project we've seen this year.
Yeah.
So
everything about it's on point.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, but we have to move on. So
we will gush over this forever.
yeah.
Yep. So my next one, Comets and Cockpits, which I'm very, very excited about. I think the creator is in the chat.
They are.
And I think you backed
Cam Day is here.
Auroboros. Yeah.
Yes.
Hi.
I just have to say right now, me and Hannah fought over who was going to get to cover this one.
Yeah.
Like we had a good knockdown drag out over which one of us was going to get.
And it ended up with, do you know what Gundam is? If you don't know what Gundam is, then I get this one.
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what this is, and this is so freaking exciting. First of all, can we just look at that gorgeous
cover,
gorgeous cover art?
Yes.
Absolutely love that. Everything about that is like a perfect blend of mechanisms and technology with that fantasy feel. It still feels so fantasy, and I'll get more into that in a second. I don't want to gush too much to start with. Let's start with, you're smashing it. Good job. You are almost at $21,000. Heck yes.
Congrats. That's
Smash
awesome.
your goal. Wonderful job. 533 backers, 17 days left to go. I expect this one to do really, really well. It's created 2 Kickstarters in the past, backed a whole bunch of them, including Auroboros. Good taste. So there's that. Okay, now here's the cool part of this, because I have done sci-fi RPGs. Like, I'm drawn to them. I love sci-fi RPGs. I've done them in the past, but all of them get rid of the fantasy element. They're like, okay, we're not going to do fantasy. We're going to do sci-fi, or we're going to do tech or steampunk. We're going to get rid of the other. This project is one of the first ones that I've seen that is a perfect pairing of fantasy and sci-fi technology. It's not one or the other. It's a perfect marriage of both. This is called a junker space genre, where it's not the super high tech where you're going through in these super fancy ships like we're getting ready to do next week. But this is junker. This is Gundam. This is building things. This is scrap ships, and it's a whole different genre that is super, super fun. Like, I love did you guys watch Firefly by chance?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
The
Firefly.
other thing that this reminded me of, which is super nostalgic, did anybody watch Titan AE?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
Yes, Titan.
Oh,
isn't that the movie that used the song "Can You Take Me Higher"?
Yeah, but like Titan AE is like an early 2000s, late 90s like nostalgia piece. Like and I feel like it has that like junker space theme. But like this is like lighting up that like nostalgia tingle in my head.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's what this is, and that's essentially all you really need to know about it. They have a really cool 4-page mini preview, which, thank you for doing that. We talk about this all the time. Like, show me, if you're giving me a huge book, show me what I'm getting. You have to have something, right? So you can download the preview and you can look at what it's going to be like, which is awesome. There's actually 2 books that are a part of this. This project is 2 books, Geographia and Technologica.
Technologica.
Thank you. Technologica. Thank you. So
that's correct.
Geographia, which I also hope is right, is set on a massive unexplored world filled with ancient artifacts and locations, whereas Technologica is filled with megatech, mechs, and starships. So you can kind of pick which one you want to do. Do you want to lean more heavily into the space junker side, or do you want to lean more heavily into like the artifacts, the magic, the unexplored world type? So you've got 2 books in order to do that. They're going to have a setting guide. They're going to have 5 new races in there, 7 new subclasses. You're looking at a new magic system based on sparks, sigils, and runestones, which I love. Love that idea. Makes it feel much more like natural in a way. Like, you have to do something in order for there to be magic. It just doesn't just happen. You've got a gazetter filled with specific guides, exploration, mechanics, and more. And then 30 plus bestiary filled with beasts, monsters, dragons, all that awesome stuff in space, which
In space.
I love it. In space, but in space. And then the same thing with the other one. You've got another bestiary with 20, but you have new races, subclasses. So each book, like, this is incredible because
This is
normally
super cool.
Kickstarters just do one book, and they're like, no, we're not gonna do one book, we're gonna do 2 books because we're that cool. So it's a really awesome opportunity to get into the genre, but not throw out everything, because we talk a lot about how frustrating it is when games throw out the system that everybody uses just because.
Yeah.
And so in this, you can still have all of the other classes, you can still have all of the other races, like they're included in this, but there's this added marriage of the technology and the space junker stuff, which I am 100% about, and I am super excited about this.
This
You
is
guys-
super cool.
I was gonna say, are you guys in for this stuff?
Yeah, and also just want to put this out there, and they've offered that Cam and another writer, Chris, are here to answer any questions. So if you in the comments have any questions, or if we want to ask any questions to them, feel free to pose them. I think that's a great opportunity, and thank you guys for offering that.
Yes, that is awesome.
What they say is our biggest philosophy for any daylight publication book is never remove, only add.
I
Yeah.
like that. I like
mean,
that. It can present a whole bunch of challenges, but I think they've done it really well on here.
Yeah, I like I love the fact that there's like mechs and kaijus, and they've like introduced these like
Love the
very
kaijus.
interesting concepts into this like more space themed world. I actually am very interested in running a non-traditional fantasy campaign after I finish my current campaign, or maybe even starting a second campaign if, I don't know, I somehow find myself with that much time in my life. But like, I'm very interested, like the one campaign setting so far, and I backed it earlier this year, so I'm really interested in that crazy apocalyptic sci-fi, like one that I backed earlier this year in one of our first episodes. That one looks really cool, but this also, like the idea of like world hopping, and like it's so big, like you can just go to a different world and just completely change what your campaign is all about, right? Like in what you're interacting with in the environment.
Well, that you say
So many
that,
options.
Cam did say that Adelphos offers 39 billion square kilometers of planet, and with Epoch, you actually get a big spooky space station. So there's like
Ooh, haunted space
super
station.
Yep.
Haunted space
Yeah,
station.
haunted space
And
station.
I
yeah.
have to imagine though that like their
Oh my
goal.
God.
That's awesome.
I don't want to speak for the creator, but I have to imagine their goal is for this to be successful enough for them to release other planet books, right? Like
What do you
other
think, guys?
books
Is that the
with
case?
more,
A setting
like
and
more
an
Is that the
adventure.
planets
plan?
and stuff.
So-
Yeah, so I mean, let us know.
Cam, also, we have to ask for Joe. Will there be maps?
Maps, maybe some map
Are we gonna
additions
have
there.
Maps?
I mean, I'm
yeah,
just saying,
I would love
You're
some.
opening such an incredible opportunity for this whole expansion of worlds, and we shall reveal no secrets yet, is what they say.
Ah!
So,
Oh man,
It's an awesome
Looks great.
opportunity.
I'm
looks
so in.
great.
For
There will
this,
be
man.
maps. There will be maps.
but
Maps.
there is, I will have a criticism, but it's going to come after the next part where Hannah talks a little bit about the pricing structure.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the process. I also just want to add in that I am super excited for like space pirates or scrappers. So you can do
Scrappers,
your
yeah.
parties, just a whole bunch of scrappers that just fly around and get into
I mean,
scraps.
Scrappy
Yeah,
hijinks.
just a bunch of. I would buy a book of just a bunch of spaceships. Honestly,
Just a bunch of ships, and you maybe like
Sure.
go to a
Even
junkyard
wrecked
and
spaceships. Yeah, like junk spaceships. that you
welcome, I'm
can-
your junk spaceship
If
dealer.
only you
Choose
knew,
what you
like,
want.
if only
You
you
need
knew,
financing.
if only we could find people that knew how to do like really amazing 3D cutaway stuff. Like, anyway, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not. That's not like an. That's
Is that an offer?
things that are said on the show are non-binding. But go
Okay.
ahead, Hannah. Go ahead, continue.
Pricing. Love the first pricing on here. You can get the digital version of what is that? The Eternal. Oh, Our Eternal Gratitude. I thought that was a book at first. It's not. You can get book 1 or 2. So this is one of them for $15 for a PDF for one of these books. So you can get either one. I'm guessing you can get both of them.
For 30.
Yeah,
For
both
30,
of them
yeah.
for 30. Makes perfect sense. So if you want both of them, it's $30 for the digital. You can get both books in print for just $45. which is
not really.
pretty. Not really.
So I need to stop here because
Okay.
this was one of my biggest, I don't want to say criticisms, but this was one of my biggest like things where I was like felt weird and I didn't understand how it worked on the Kickstarter. But
Mhm.
basically what they're doing is they say $45 and you get both books. But you don't actually get the books. You get a code for Drive-Thru RPG to buy the books at cost plus shipping. So you're
I
going
see,
to
I
pay
see.
$45 on the Kickstarter, and then you
Uh-huh.
will get codes to get the books far cheaper than what they would
Mm.
actually cost at RPG, and you will get them for an extremely discounted
Okay.
price, and you'll have to pay that plus
Okay, okay,
shipping on Drive-Thru RPG. So they're not handling the physical printing or shipping of the books at all. That's all going to be done through Drive-Thru RPG. So you back the
Gotcha.
Kickstarter, get codes to buy
Got
the
it.
book at extremely
Which just
discounted.
says hardcover or softcover at cost plus shipping. Mhm.
So whatever. So
Got it.
basically,
Yep.
yeah. So that's weird to me. I feel like there should be a way.
Other ones do that. Like we've seen that before. Like the concept of doing it. We haven't seen it at cost.
I've never seen that.
I've
never
swear
s-
we've seen
you-
fulfilled
I-
by Drive-Thru RPG.
Charging shipping is one thing, but like I have to pay for this now on Kickstarter, and then I have to pay for the book again,
It
even
may
though it'll be
offer
very
some
cheap.
confusion.
Like but like I feel like
Yeah.
people might back this and not understand.
That's fair.
And they might back
Yeah.
this for $45, and then when it comes time to get their book, they're gonna go, here's a code. They go to
Gotcha.
Drive-Thru RPG, and they have to
That's
pay
big.
another $45 to buy the books themselves, right? Like,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
would still be, you get two awesome books for like less than $50 a piece. Fine, but I feel like some people are not gonna understand that and are gonna
Yeah.
get like, wait,
Yeah.
I thought
That's
I
fair.
already paid for this.
And
Because traditionally on a Kickstarter, you pay for the product on the Kickstarter and you might get charged shipping later. You don't pay for the product at two separate. It's like the best way I can describe this is like you're backing this Kickstarter and making a down payment.
Mm.
Which
Well,
is,
you are getting a couple
right.
other things with this. So you do get the PDF
Yeah.
still. And you also get the digital stretch goals and any physical stretch goals.
yeah. So
So- It's not like you're not getting anything for it.
and guys, I know you're in the comments and your response we can see in the side. Completely get, obviously if you have a bigger operation to print and handle the fulfillment, completely understand it. And I think where a lot of this comes from is looking at that description and saying that it offers up to a little bit of confusion. And I think if that, especially with those being on the side as they are in terms of the overall layout of Kickstarter, not many people will read through every detail of that pledge, and
Because
that detail might get missed. So it's a critique in a way to say something to keep an eye out for where people
Yeah,
may be
easy
confused.
fix.
I think, in my personal opinion, I think it would be a lot more clear if there was a section that kind of
That
broke
describe
down
that.
how the system was going to work. Like you might not be able to say it will cost exactly X amount, but say this is how we're structuring this, which is very different from a traditional Kickstarter model, right? And I think that would be a little bit easier because I did go through the page trying to find that information. And if it is on there, it wasn't in a place that was very easy for me to find. And then I kind of had to like look at this and see what the concept was here. It's really not a criticism because I think the product is amazing.
Yeah.
I think that the fulfillment and handling of how the actual like product structure works would be a little bit more simplified by having some more information and graphics that kind of like put that a little bit more simply and clearly on the page.
Yeah, because I don't think anyone would have a problem with that if that's what they want and they can get it at cost. I don't think anybody would have a problem with it. Just the clarity of it is the only suggestion there.
Sure.
But yeah. Other than that, it's great. I would highly suggest the $30 for the digital version. I think that is a really reasonable price for 2 books. 100% would do that. That's my best value there. Love that value. Good stuff.
But man, I want this art in my hands. I want
I
this
know.
art in my grubby little paws.
I know,
That's what I
especially
want.
if there's some like really cool maps. I would fork over some money for some cool physical maps for sure.
But
For
I
sure.
love the how the art in this evokes such a concept of like you said at the very
Super
beginning.
original.
You look at that first splash image that they have with the griffin and the like spaceship, and then the person with like the tiefling with like the laser like thing on its like laser knife on its hand, and you just sit there and you go, I know what this is and I want it.
I love it. I absolutely love everything about that.
So
I want to play Matt. So I got super into Magic again, and I just feel like that image, I want to play that image. I don't know why. I just love it so much.
Before you give your roll, are there any other questions for anything in the books? Or I think we might be hitting time for a roll. Are there any questions before we move on?
I don't know if you can answer this or not, if you don't want to give things away, but yes or no, are there new monsters for like the haunted spaceship? Do we see like alien ghosts or something like that? Or like alien monsters, that brain invaders or something? I just want to know.
Quite. I see quite. What's what we're seeing. Quite.
There quite are.
There are.
There are quite a few.
So
roll it, and then while we wait, we will look.
Yeah.
Rolling it. I love this concept. It's solid. It's unique. It's very interesting. There are a few bumps in it for me, but overall, super solid. Roll of 14.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very
so I'm gonna 14. Love it.
Solid roll. As I plug that into our layout here, and there we go. Well, guys, thank you so much. A solid roll of a 14, and thank you so much for joining us in the comments. And there's any other information in there, please feel free to ask the creators a question, those of you who are not them. And yeah.
I mean, they can ask questions of themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's always a good thing. Question yourself.
All right, Alec.
All right, everyone.
Let's hear about this.
All right.
This is a doozy.
Bards unite. Bards. As a bard myself, I am very excited about this next one. This is Sirens, Battle of the Bards. I think bards are completely underrated.
No.
So, this is really, really interesting. It is a 5e campaign and setting in a city of artists where bards inspire revolution. And it immediately grabbed me, and it's by Apotheosis Studios. They've already raised $139,000, and they've gone past their $20,000 goal, over 1,300 backers. And I live under a rock, and I immediately did not know who this was. And Hannah, please feel free to provide a little background in this.
This is Satine Phoenix.
Yes.
She is an incredible DM who has her own stream and is very, very well known in the D&D community. I mean, Luke Gygax is also on here. I hope I don't have to tell you who Luke Gygax is.
I know who Luke Gygax is. Don't you worry.
Cool. So this whole thing is actually based on Satine Phoenix's D&D campaign. So this was the world that she created for her D&D campaign.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's extremely, extremely interesting, and it immediately caught my attention as a bard, obviously. But the Bohemian city of Salvata encroaches closer to the heavens every century. For a millennium, this towering metropolis has fostered artists, muses, and sirens so as to perfect their art and lure down a deity during a rare eclipse when the stars align. Under the visionary guidance of the city's great chancellor Kalroth, Salvata has prospered in harsh desert conditions that forge coal into diamonds. And so the city of Salvata is no different. Failure is not shunned here, but embraced as a stepping stone to success. Each century, another statue is immortalized, and the city climbs yet another step higher, urging all citizens to strive for the vaulted halls at Salvata's zenith. It's absolutely... It grips you right away. This story has so much depth, and it's so interesting, and you don't really get to see such a unique story focused on the role of a bard or the artists, and it's super, super unique. And we obviously have a quote here from Luke Gygax, which is crazy. Lift up your lute, strike a compelling pose, and let fly your most eloquent song. This is absolutely insane. They have so many different people as parts of this campaign, and they have all these different free 30-page samples that you can download, which are absolutely incredible. As we talked about for the previous Comets and Cockpits, they had a really awesome downloadable. So do these guys. And you can click through and read the free Sirenscape sample adventure pack and all of these different types of downloads. And so there are a ton of different options you can go for, which is the standard edition, which is gloss cover and spot UV, which is a super nice little addition there in terms of product development. Mm-hmm. The special edition, which has foil stamped and tungsten metal X-hammered cover, which is very nice. Or you could get a limited edition signed and numbered by Satine Phoenix, as Hannah mentioned earlier.
Now you know why that's a big deal.
Yes.
So
why is this backer signing things?
Anybody that doesn't know, I mentioned it very briefly in my intro, but I actually work in like board game manufacturing. Like all of these games behind me, I make them. Like I work for a company that does all the printing and stuff like that. Like I project manage them. It makes me laugh so hard that like they have like book specifications and they're like so technical that like
they're
nobody
very
really
technical.
cares. It's like just tell us it's a 300-page book, like a hardcover 300-page book. Like, but like I love how they're just like 4C on 157 GSM gloss art paper, and I'm like,
I have no idea.
I know what all that means.
No one's gonna know.
No one else does.
But that's gonna be one of my notes here, and obviously, they've made a lot of money at this point. They've done very well, and they have a lot going for them. But the features of the actual book that are not physical are very low down the page. And it's like you have to scroll past all of the book specifications before you get to the actual what's in the book. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's kind of, they'd probably have a little bit of a better time if they moved that up. That's something you really want to kind of lead with, is what you actually get. It features a foreword by Luke Gygax, including characters from Dungeons & Dragons live play, Sirens, by Satine Phoenix. It's over 300 pages. 300 pages. It's a lot. It's got 10 new Bard subclasses, 20 unique adventures, and countless magical items. All new locations, 10 unique districts, multiple endings to encourage player agency and replayability, which is extremely smart because a lot of these one-shot campaigns or specific storylines might not have a lot of replayability. And in the board game world, replayability is a big factor in terms of board game success. And that's something that also you need to consider, and I don't think is really considered a lot in these types of campaigns, is replayability. And I think that's very smart. A full orchestral soundtrack.
Oh, that's awesome.
Full orchestral soundtrack from singer-songwriter and Godhead lead vocalist Jason Charles Miller. Full musical campaign sound set from Sirenscape. There's so much here. And they have all these different guest writers, Deborah Ann Wool, if you've watched Daredevil, or if you're a fan of, for example, True Blood, Chris Funk and Alex Kammer, and all of it's so much. And I just want my bard to thrive, y'all. I want bards to thrive.
This is the city of his dream.
It's absolutely gorgeous, and look at this beautiful art showing all the layers of Salvata, and
what a great use of a GIF.
Great usage of GIFs, and
so good.
It's so designed so beautifully, and it's so amazing. And honestly, they've included things for Roll20. And all of these different factors that you really need to consider when you're running such a large campaign, because these are the questions people are going to ask, right? But what does it cost? So you can get $29 digital PDF edition. $29. Obviously, that's higher than some of the $15 or the $25 that we've seen. but this is a
300
lot.
pages.
This is 300 pages. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. They also have a digital Roll20 version. So you'll actually receive the Roll20 edition of Sirens Battle of the Bards, so it's compatible with Roll20. So that's $49. So they're essentially it's not doubling, but they're adding an extra $20 for the Roll20. Now,
It's totally worth it if the maps are sized and ready to go in
Exactly.
Roll20, though, because that's a pain.
exactly.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, map pack. Done.
But if you want to get the hardcover standard edition, and there's some in between other digital versions in between that, there are a lot of pledge levels here, which, to be honest, can be a negative for your campaign and something to look out for. But for $59 for the hardcover standard edition, great, 300 pages, matte, gloss cover, spot UV, beautiful. That's a beautiful book right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's only $9 more than another standard book, and this has way more content. $89 for the special edition foil. Your name actually is in the book credits, which is pretty interesting.
That's nice.
You get the digital edition, PDF, and map pack. But then to get the slipcase, to get all of the there's like all of the different music and all of that kind of stuff, you actually need to go. That's actually you actually can only get that as an add-on, I believe. It's actually something that I couldn't find in the pledges, which was very interesting to me. And it's, to me, if you're highlighting that earlier, what do you guys think? Should that not be included in a pledge level?
I mean, if you've already created the music, I don't know why you wouldn't just want to like include that in most of the pledge levels anyway.
That
That's
was
like
my thought.
It's like my
Seems like
own
an
person.
easy value add.
Yeah, like it seems like, and like, I don't know, with the campaign so focused on music, maybe making music like a part of your campaign structure would be valuable, but also I don't know how much they paid for it. Maybe they couldn't work out a great deal with Sirenscape to like, I don't know, but I kind of feel like that would have been an easy gimme. Right?
Right.
With
That-
all of
that
the
was my
power
thought.
that's on this project, you would think Sirenscape would be like, yeah, whatever you want. Just
Right.
let us be on this project.
And that was my thought too, because for me, like I said, I'm big into the immersion, and I was actually kind of disappointed that it wasn't included in the $59, or at least, like one step up, maybe like the $89 where you get it, where you get
It's not on all of any of them?
not
Hey,
on
you
any
can-
of them.
You can write your own adventure
That
for this book
surprises
for a
me.
measly $3,000.
Yeah, I saw
Right?
that, but you don't get music.
And to that point, I think there's some questions here, and I think we can maybe do a really quick discussion on pledge levels, because I think we had this discussion when working on the Wanderer's Guide, is at what point are you offering too many stretch goals or pledge levels? At
Yeah.
what point do you start to kind of muddy the waters? And when you work on your own campaign, you see a chart of what people are backing, right? And as we're looking at this, 18 people have backed $229. 9 people have backed at $626. 9 people at $1,000. At one point, does it get to be too many? And is this maybe the exception? What do you guys think in terms of these types of stacking on stacking on stacking of pledge levels?
I feel like having a Roll20 version, a Fantasy Grounds version, a Foundry VTT version, a Shard Tabletop version, all for the same price, which are all different platforms people use to play D&D online, right? All for the same. They should have just said digital version in your preferred thing, and they could have just done a poll afterwards and eliminated all of those. They could have just said, this is what we can offer it on. You can choose one after the campaign, do a poll, send people what they answered in the poll. But I feel like having all of these different versions makes it like because if you don't know all of these, it feels overwhelming, right? If you are a fish out of water that stumbled onto this page because you're just a D&D player and look at this bard thing, and you stumble into this, I feel like this I feel like this is very much like hard to understand without like the page is, while it's beautiful, is not laid out super clearly.
No.
And the pledge levels are kind of like dizzying and disorienting a little bit. And I feel like if you're like a newcomer, right, and you're just like, I'm a little overwhelmed with this. But also I feel like this is also very targeted, that if you are an experienced D&D person that knows all of this stuff and you're a part of the community and a part of the culture, you're like,
Great.
oh,
You're
I can
in.
get exactly what I want.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I would agree. Hannah, what do you think?
Well, I am one of those experienced ones, and honestly, being able to look through and be like, sweet, fantasy grounds, that's what I use. Like, I'm glad that I can see that they do offer that instead of having to look through. But that's just a subtle thing. I didn't mind that necessarily. The one that gets me is the different covers. I have to like really read through and to see what the difference is between the 89 to 100 to 149, and I'm just like, wait a minute, I don't see that one cover. I want that one cover. Which one is that? And I still don't see it on here.
Yeah.
Or like the
it gets to be confusing. It
just
really does. And as I'm more of a casual D&D player and RPG player, and I'm, starting to get more into it and learn more, obviously, through this show and through playing myself and through the Wanderer's Guide and other things. And I'm probably like I'm a step above the average just RPG player, because one, I'm looking at this from perspective of learning a little bit more about and talking it from a perspective of a designer and a marketer. But to me, even this was overwhelming. And if it were me and I was just looking through this, I probably would back, but I would be very close to clicking off and saying, I'll do this later because I don't have time to figure this out. And then I might forget at that point. So those are things that just you really need to consider when working on your own Kickstarter. Obviously, these guys have a lot going for them. They have a lot of very important people and very talented people involved. So,
but that being said,
they could probably have done more.
I'm kind of surprised that it's where it's at. I feel like it should be a lot higher. You know what I'm saying? Like with the firepower you have behind this is as far as you are. That kind of surprises me, and I think a lot of that might have to do with the confusion on it. I don't know.
I think so too. Well, I have to give this a roll. So overall, I think this is a really great project. Now, does it have a lot of content that can really distract from people really wanting to back it, and can that cause confusion? Yes, absolutely. And I think that's going to go into my overall roll. So I'm going to subtract a little from that without putting a modifier. It's going to actually be a 16 for me. But I'm going to give it a +1 just for the star power and the content that's going to be so great on it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I'm guaranteed the content's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So that would be my role for this Sirens Battle of the Bards. But we have just passed our second round of 3 campaigns, and we are going to take a quick break, and you guys are going to hear about something that's very near and dear to our hearts. We will be right back.
The Wanderer's Guide is a 50-page compendium designed to enhance your fantasy RPG campaigns. Immersive, beautiful maps and artwork by Andrew Bosley. Dry erase pages for quick editing and changes as your campaign evolves. An abundance of tokens to add more character, landmarks, features, and customization to your campaign. An interactive NPC system for adding lots of variety and plot hooks for the Game Master to engage the players. Artwork featuring fun details and story elements to enhance collaborative storytelling, world building, and spark the imagination of the players and the Game Master. The Wanderer's Guide. Your world, your adventure.
Hey everybody, we're back, and
We're
we've got 3 more campaigns, and we're going to get them done and get you guys out of here. But thank you guys. This is a big packed episode, but I'm gonna try to condense it, but I got another doozy of a project that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about Grim Hollow, the Monster Grimoire, a dark fantasy fueled installment of 400 monsters from the dangerous world of Atharis, designed for 5th edition. Look, Ghostfire Gaming is the team behind the Grim Hollow series. They also were very instrumental on a big campaign that launched earlier this year by a company called Eldermancy, which is Seeker's Guide to Twisted Taverns and Scribble's Codex of Luck. So they've been they're intertwined with a lot of really big Kickstarters, but their baby is this Grim Hollow campaign setting. And this is kind of the final feather in the cap, I kind of believe, because they already launched the player's guide and that did very well. They launched the campaign setting and that did very well. And now we are kind of finishing off your 3 core book sets with the Monsters Grimoire, which is really your monster manual for their very specialized campaign setting set in Atharis. So right now, currently, the campaign has almost 6,000 backers, 5,850 as of right this second, and has raised almost $550,000. So just past that $500,000 mark. So doing amazingly well. And guys,
scary.
We have to talk about it really quick.
It's scary.
The art is so good in this.
Gorgeous.
Are you afraid of the dark?
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Atharis. It is a very grim and dangerous and deadly world.
I love it.
Think like Curse of Strahd, but like way darker. Like
That's
it's
possible.
Strahd with none of the good happy points, right? Like it's just dark and then it gets darker. So basically there's like sickness that is ravaging the world. There are wars being fought. There is religious idolatry and darkness that is just like every bad is a staple in this campaign setting. So like this is a grim, dark horror fantasy setting. And I really like that they just leaned into this and just said, we're going all the way in on this dark fantasy setting. And I think that that's like a very good dark mirror to like kind of like the more bright and happy like Wizards of the Coast settings that like they have. I think this is a very good kind of like glimpse into something that's a lot more grim and like real and gritty. But what they're selling here, and of course if you have not gotten in on Atharis stuff, right, you can in the Pledge Manager get the campaign setting, get the player's guide, get everything that you need for the book. But this specifically campaign is for the monster manual. Okay, so we're very much going to kind of leave all of the other products that are a part of it out and really talk about what you're getting with this monster manual and why this monster manual is cool. And I think there are a few things that make it very cool. All right, so you get new and diverse options for monsters. So they take a lot of the 5e typical monsters and twist and contort them to be more fitting for their dark, grim setting. Okay. They also have created hundreds of brand new monsters for your campaign settings. I love this. I absolutely love this because the monster manual for 5e needs more of these NPC foes. I love using humans as my enemies when they're fighting. Like I don't always to me, I'm like, you're not always going to be fighting a troll. You're not always going to be fighting a griffin. Like most of the time,
I love doing that
for your conflict. Most of the time, it makes more sense for your conflict in game to be humans that you're fighting. And so I like for there to be more of these NPC foe stat blocks to take and use for special ways.
I don't remember the last time we haven't faced a person.
You fought a bunch of abominations.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Anyways. But yeah, you've been fighting mostly monsters or people and drow recently. Those have been, but you've also been inside of a major city. So
that's true.
Right. Other things that this monster manual offers sidekicks, familiars, mounts, and pets. So they make sure that they completely flesh out the entire world of Atharis with everything that you need and all of the side stat blocks that you need for those. Now, we're going to get into the real groovy stuff, right? Modification charts, right? And this is something that I feel like is desperately needed for DMs. Be like, you want skeletons? What if you wanted flaming skeletons or poisonous exploding skeletons or frozen skeletons? Like, they give you these modification charts for how to add and subtract different things from your monsters and like give them more different abilities, because sometimes you don't want to use the same old thing, or sometimes you want to have a thing, and it's really hard to like homebrew that stuff on the top of, but like having some charts that kind of really easily lay out how to modify your monsters to make them unique and different. Genius. Other things that are really great. Loot drop charts.
Very helpful.
And treasure guides for what types of loot and treasure those people that you kill or monsters that you kill might be holding. And Hannah, every campaign has the stupid player who's like, oh, I'm going to harvest some of this dead monster's poison, right? And as the DM, you're like, fine, but you'll never find anything to do with it. Like go ahead. They give you salvage rules for different parts of the monsters.
That's amazing.
You can make potions and magic items. So certain monsters that you fight actually have salvage rules for how to basically mine the different parts. Like, you get to use every part of the buffalo, right? Like, this is
awesome.
like this is
so dark.
It's so good.
They're going to.
And here is something else. Every monster stat block gives you tactic advice for how to maximize your battle concepts for these players. So like this monster works best if fighting in a heavily dense wood for this reason, and this reason, right? Or if your players encounter this monster in this type of environment, then you can use these type of tactics. Like, what a brilliant and beautiful.
Genius. It's so useful.
Here's the thing. This is a monster manual that is very specific to a campaign setting. But the concepts that are introduced in this monster manual are some of the best things I have seen for any type of monster manual product in my life. And I am just hat off across the board.
It's incredibly useful. Like, honestly, incredibly useful.
They should put these guys in charge of rewriting the 5e monster manual.
That's honestly what I was just thinking. I was like, this needs to be canon. Like, this needs to be the new standard. And I'm just now noticing that they're dissecting a fairy on there.
Yeah, they are. And now there are so many levels to this, Joe.
Yeah.
There are so many levels. We got to talk about that.
All right. So first of all, if you want the book, you can get the book and the PDF, and they just give it to you. A 10 map pack. They just give it to you. It's like Christmas size. It's so exciting. They don't even say for an additional $5. No, they just say, here's the maps, because we know you want the maps.
Alex, I almost texted you separately today and was like, do you want to play a game where we take a shot anytime Joe mentions maps? And I am so glad I did not do that.
We would have been screwed.
Guys, but look at it.
Yes, that's 10.
They give you these maps.
Yeah.
It is so cool. So for $55, you get the book and the maps. So that's great. And you can have the PDF version. They just say like, yeah, here's the PDF. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to skip a couple of things because I'm going to go to like the next pledge level that I think is like worth your money. Right. And that is all the way at $250. And here's what you're going to get. This campaign features a lot of plastic minis, okay? And with these plastic minis, You get one regular miniature box, one large miniature box, and one gigantic miniature box.
Heavy breathing intensifies.
They have a lot of different miniatures that you can choose from. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the regular sized ones. There are 3 options for your large ones, and there are 2.
You guys are hot and bothered right now. Oh my gosh.
You get to choose one from each of those groups for this pledge level. But here's the thing that I think makes this pledge level also really worth it. You get stat cards for all of the monsters.
Thank you. Yes.
So hold on 1 second.
I may have scrolled a little bit down to see the miniatures.
Mm.
I am a huge fan.
Whoa.
I am a huge fan of monster stat cards.
Yeah.
I hate flipping through the book to find monster stats. I love pulling out my monster stat cards.
Yep.
So monster
I'm
stat
creating a new system for mine that I'm going to have in a YouTube video coming up that I'm super excited about. But I'm the same way. I love cards. I love the cards.
This is beautiful. Yeah. Like even if I didn't have all of those, I would write them out on 3x5 cards.
Yeah.
They're incredibly useful.
That's what I used to.
For me, $250, that's what you're backing for. You get some miniatures, which is great, but you get all of the 400 plus monster stat cards. Now, hold on. So there is another level, which is $480, which is all of the monster cards, all of that stuff. You get a card folio to basically a binder to hold all the cards, which is really incredible. You get some really cool custom figurines, and you get all the miniatures, which is a lot.
You need a room. You need a room. A whole room for all of this.
Look, if you get all the miniatures, you get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 59. 61. You get 61 miniatures, which is more miniatures than your like giant plastic cool mini or not.
You gotta buy one of these.
You gotta buy this to hold that.
But that's really great. These guys, I mean, they know what they're doing. They've put out a lot of content. If you're already a fan of the Atharis world and campaign setting, you have to go in for this, right? Like, how can you not back this? The question that I think is going to be the main thing is, are you backing for the $55 level, or are you backing for the $250 level? And that's a jump. It's a big jump.
If I had the money, and I would I would do the 400.
100%.
I'm gonna be honest, guys. The Demon Oak is the
Demon Oak is so cool.
I'm not kidding. This is the coolest, most detailed 3D model.
I want to paint these.
This is the best model I have ever seen.
Yep.
This is the
Better
coolest,
than
most
the Bat
unique.
Dragon? What about the Bat Dragon?
Hold on, guys.
So cool.
Guys, hold on. I just want to be real clear. So I'm backing at $55. I'm planning on adding on the player's guide, which will cost me $40, and the campaign guide, which will cost me another $40. And that is pretty much what I'm going to be pledging at. That's how I want to buy this campaign setting, because if I run a grim dark, like I know right now, Hannah, you're running Curse of Strahd. I would rather run this personally. I would rather run this than Curse of Strahd. Because 100%. I think it's like darker and grimmer and just a little bit more thought through, right? It has a little bit more going on. So Ghostfire Gaming, you did great. This is amazing. I think the things that you're doing with the Monster Manual product are game changing and are the standard that anybody that's making a Monster Manual in the future needs to be held to, because you are doing it right. And I am extremely impressed with you.
Somebody talked to some DMs and was like, what do you actually want in a monster manual? And we told them, and that's amazing.
Someone in the comments screen cap the look I've been giving the Demon Oak this whole time, and just find yourself a partner that looks at you the way I look at the Demon Oak.
Guys, I have to roll this. And I labored over this one. This was the hardest one for me to roll of the night. This is going to get a 19. And what pulls it short of a nat 20, is because not everybody wants to play dark, gritty fantasy. Listen, this is as dark as it gets. Like, other than like
They're dissecting
the only
dark
way
as my
you get
coffee in the
darker
morning.
than this is by playing the Hell campaign that Hannah reviewed a couple weeks ago. Okay,
Like the Dante's Inferno one.
yeah, that is the only thing that
That's
is
a different
darker.
level.
Yeah.
Get
Here's the thing,
Different level
right?
of hell.
This is really cool, and if it is up your alley, I highly suggest going in and backing this, if only to have a monster manual compendium that is better than the one that Wizards of the Coast has printed.
Yep.
It's fair. It is
That's
very fair.
Wow.
19.
I'm out of breath.
Hollow. Well, that's good because Hannah is going to talk for a bit.
All right.
I probably am going to talk for a little bit. Maybe not as long, but a little bit. So my next one is called The Court of Blades.
Oh, give me a second, because we did have I had all my windows pulled up, and we actually did have an issue because you had to change your you actually had to change your project.
Oh, I did change my project for this one because, and the reason why, while he's pulling that up, is the project that I pick actually canceled because they realized that they weren't progressing at the level that they promised that they would. So they canceled for just a few months, and they said that they will be back on Kickstarter better than ever in a few months. So in a couple months, we'll review that one.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
one that I chose instead is
Wait, I just want to say, I just want to say real quickly, it wasn't like this one was like didn't make the cut. In fact, this one was actually going to get put in front of another project, but because that one canceled, this one made in. But this one launched today, the day that we're recording. So Hannah got looked at this last minute, and when I shared it to her, she was like, "Yes."
Yeah, 100% had to. As soon as I saw it, I was like, this has me written all over it. Absolutely.
It's taking me a second. I forgot that it was in our chat group, guys.
It is in our chat group. I don't think it's on the sheet.
It is not on our organizational sheet. So we're going off the reservations on this one.
It is. It's on the marketing.
Ah.
Yeah.
Stalling. I love stalling. Court of Blades, correct?
Yeah.
Court of Blades. That is
we got
one.
there.
I'll give you the stats. Hey, good.
We're there.
The stats are it's at 22,000, almost 600 backers. Just launched today, so we've still got 24 days to go. In 24 hours, they've raised over $20,000, and for good reason. The video is excellent, and I recommend watching it if you want kind of the overview of what this is. But there's a lot to unpack here, and this is, first of all, a different system. So this is not 5e compatible. This is a different system that is very much focused on storytelling, as well as it does the D6 system. So D6 system's very popular, success fail kind of a system. Makes it easy to focus more on the storytelling aspects of things, which this definitely focuses on. So what this is it's okay. So this is more of a social drama RPG than it is anything like a dungeon dive or a traditional fantasy setting. So you have think the backstabbing secrecy that's in Game of Thrones, or with the Starks and the Lancasters, right? Think Shakespeare's
Lannisters.
Montague. Think Montague versus Capulets, right?
Yeah.
That the war is always just kind of below the surface, waiting to boil over. But meanwhile, going on is all this espionage and backstabbing and rumor spreading and everything that you can do to kind of bring down the other house and elevate your own house.
You know, all of the dicks that are sending your D&D party on missions for their own goods, You are playing those dicks.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yes.
kidding. We were in the realm of Game of Thrones, and I didn't think that's where you were going with that statement.
Oh. Anyway,
Throw that in there.
Yeah, alrighty. Anyway, so what your players are going to do in this one is that you play as a noble retainer who is engaged in what they call polite civil warfare of these great families. So you have to make sure that everything is still like on the up and up. You don't outright do anything, but your family might send you to this lavish ball, and your whole mission at that ball is to embarrass this certain person. But make sure that they don't know that you're the one who caused the scene or whatever it is to embarrass them, right? So you've got this super sneaky, underhanded kind of feeling to this. And what you're doing is you're manipulating these things. You're going against your rivals in order to elevate your family house and bring down the other family houses. Because you yourself are not a member of that family house. You are a retainer to them. You've risen up through the ranks. So you started in poverty and you've risen up through the ranks, and you're trying to get as high as possible. And in order to do that, you have to get your house. I almost said leveled up. That's not quite how it works. You have to get more honor for your house. So there are 6 houses in this that you can choose from, and I'm sure that they'll outline each one of those, and you pick the retainer for the house that you're going to be a part of. I don't know if there's a sorting hat, but that would be super cool.
My favorite one, each one of them has like a little catchphrase. I love House Almarie, tower built of spit and spite.
Yes, absolutely. Where are they at? Let's go.
Lend themselves to games of brutal cunning, ruthlessness, and carving out your place while being beset by enemies on all sides. Pledging your sword to the Almarie, your courtier marks XP when they overcome obstacles with dominance or aggression.
Exactly. So you have House Corvetto, which is the majestic tyrants. They lend themselves to gains of mystery, manipulation, seduction, and the arcane. Serving in the Corvetto, you get marks for XP when they overcome obstacles with majesty. So there's those 6 houses, and you have to do certain things a certain way in order to get your experience for that to be able to level up and do things with your character, which is super unique and an interesting way to do it. Yeah, so you're very focused on doing things a certain way, which I think really helps with character development and truly understanding your character a little bit more. And then, of course, throughout all of this, you've got this interwoven, like you can have love stories that maybe transcend houses and create conflicts. And you've got all of the classic Romeo and Juliet kind of things mixed in here as well. So overall, it's a very unique and really interesting campaign and RPG, because this one's outside of our normal RPGs, which is D&D style, and this is definitely more of a social RPG.
Yeah. Just to
different.
Also note, at $10,000, they unlocked a professionally illustrated map of the realm.
Yep. There's maps. Of course, there's maps.
Is there a haunted tree or a demon oak?
There's like a demon, like madam at the head.
Demon madam.
Ooh, I just had a good idea for a zine.
Oh no.
The demon madam?
Yeah.
Does she run a
the bordello in hell? Yeah, that would be good.
Isn't that's kind of like that game that's been going around, which is like a Resident Evil style with the 9-foot tall vampire lady that everyone became obsessed with. Those of you in the comments who know about that.
My nerds, where you at? All right, so money on this, $9 for a PDF copy. I think that's pretty cool. That's for the Courtier Assist. You got 18 for the PDF copy of Court of Blades as it stands now, PDF copy of the polished and edited version of it when it's complete. So right now they basically have a rough of it, and you can get that immediately if you go at 18.
as well as the edited and polished version later. So if you just can't wait to start, you can back at that. And it's got the whole game kit with printable goodies and all of that. You go up to 20, and that's for like internationals. But all the way up on 35 is where you get the physical copy of the book, which is cheap for a physical copy. We talked about this a lot. You're looking normally at like $50 for a full campaign setting like this for copies. So 35 is a pretty good deal.
Did they say about how many pages it is? I mean, it's not that important, but just out of curiosity.
I never saw anywhere on here where there's very many pages. I also did not see a lot of art.
It doesn't look like it's very art heavy.
No, this is kind of rough to actually go through because it's kind of like a book and you just read the entire thing. It's very interesting and engaging, don't get me wrong, so I very much enjoyed reading it, but there's not a lot of art here to grab your attention with things. This is much more word heavy. Even if you look at the character sheet of it, the courtier sheet, even it's pretty word heavy.
So
yeah, I just opened
Dorian
up
Raker in the comments has about 350 pages without art.
Ooh, wow.
Dang.
So I just opened up the PDF preview and it's very beautiful, very well laid out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not very art heavy. Everything is mostly text. They have a lot of pages that are
Sounds
like
they haven't done that yet.
But they have some beautifully illustrated like coats of arms and stuff. But I think that's like the max because this is not an art book. This is a storytelling book.
So is the creator in the chat?
Yes, Dorian Raker.
Can you tell me, is the rest of the art going to be the same as like the cover art style? Because I love that style. I think it's a really, really cool, like fantasy. I don't even know. It looks really cool. So I'd love to know if that's going to be the style of the rest of it. That's good to know. Like they don't have the art yet. So that's probably why we're not seeing a lot of it. So you got 350 pages before art.
So many pages.
That's a lot. That's a lot of pages for $18. Dang.
This is not a one shot, Hannah.
No. I really wanted to run it as a one shot. I might still. I mean, the Jane Austen RPG isn't necessarily, and we're going to figure it out.
They got great artists waiting for the stretch goals. So once those stretch goals have been decided, and then they're going to be very much in there. Yes.
Awesome. Yep. I'm looking forward to seeing that in the updates then. That would be super cool.
So they do have a couple of art tiers that they're going to. So illustrated graphics are unlocked at 15K, 20K. They've already done that. 25K. Are you an art addict? You're right. More art. So they are going to get
awesome.
Basically a lot of their stretch goals are making the book more beautiful, which is great.
I love that. I love that. I cannot believe then that because golly, how many pages is going to be? 4.5 pages, and you get for $35. That's a crazy good deal.
But also, this is their very first project that they've ever created. So, like, I can definitely see that,
strong.
and that's is they're
Good
really
job.
wanting to put this out there. They're probably not making traditional margins like a typical project does when it makes margins.
Right.
Most of the time, it's like a 5x markup or a 7x markup. They're probably going to be printing these things. I'm not going to say at cost, but they're probably not taking
They're
a
soft
full
covers
yeah.
too.
They're probably just trying to get this first project out there and into people's hands.
Note any of our international lookers, this is only United States for that physical copy.
Husband and wife team, bring in the fire.
Hey, good job. Heck yes. My husband and I run Halfling Hobbies, and so that's awesome. Well done. And an amazing project. This is such a unique and fun idea, like legitimately so much fun. We don't get enough of these like social RPGs. Everything seems focused on what we can kill. How can we kill stuff? And so personally, I really enjoy those social interactions. So I think this is such a unique and fun concept, and I'm absolutely in love with it. I will definitely be getting this for $35, and I think everyone else on the planet should as well, because I mean, you can go to dinner for $35, or you can get like 400 pages of a freaking awesome RPG for that amount.
Yeah,
so,
or you can go to you can have 400 pages of masquerade balls.
Yes, that's all I want. That's all
Masquerade.
I want.
Hey,
I
Alex,
just want masquerade balls.
Alex, just so you know, your video went off.
What?
All I see is
Go away.
I'm still here on the stream, so we're good. As long as the computer my computer can still see me, we are good.
Okay.
So what would you roll Court of Blades, Hannah?
This is my highest one of the night.
Ooh.
I think even though I would have loved to see more art, but I totally understand now why it's not on there. This is such a unique and fun concept, and there's not enough of it out there that I have given this a roll of 16.
Are you more excited about this than the Jane Austen RPG?
I don't know. Because in the Jane Austen one, it's like implied that you can mess with each other. In this one, it's expected that you mess with each other.
True.
And I'm really excited about that.
I feel we should play both to know how
we have to.
Yeah,
honestly.
there's no other way.
No other option here.
Yeah. So,
all right. So
excited.
it is that time for me, the resident dice goblin, to talk about a dice Kickstarter that I have liked. And I'm a big fan. Toss your dice to your Witcher, O Valley of Plenty. All right, the official Wisher dice sets by Q Workshop, handcrafted from 2 different materials, available in a variety of shapes and colors. These are really cool and really unique. I love the runes that are carved into the actual metal line. So they have all the edges in metal, and the inside has got this really nice wood texture. And they have a bunch of different options called Wolfsbane, Golem's Heart, and they have coins you can get. Absolutely gorgeous. You choose a base, and then you can either go metal or plastic. And then they have different inserts, like different woods, composites, super, super cool, and different color options. I really, really love this. And for me, I'm a big fan of the game and the show. I actually haven't read the book, surprisingly. But these are super, super cool. I would definitely shell out for the metal ones. You can actually get a dice poker set for $29, or you can get the actual full classic RPG set, but plastic base for $36. Now, if you want to get the metal base, this is where the price jumps up. That's $80 for the poker set and $91 for the metal base, for the RPG set. Super, super cool. I think these are really, really unique. I think way to take a really popular property going right now. And what I think is a really cool design aspect is those runes. I think they could have easily left those as just flat metal, but no, they've added a really, really cool design aspect that is really nice. What do you guys think? What are the ones you're really looking at if you were to get a set?
I love the poker set. That's unique. That's super. Such a fun idea. It comes with a board. You can store the little dice on there. That's so cool.
Love it.
Because everybody does the RPG sets, and it's fun to have something different. And did you see the art in the middle?
Yeah.
Of the poker set? That's so cool.
So one thing I wish they would do is, like, I've now scrolled through the whole page, and there's like, they don't have like I like when they have like all the dice set types at one place, right? But they've like split these up into weird ways where they're like,
split it up
here's,
weird.
they're like, they're like, here's 2, and then you scroll through a whole bunch of stuff, and they're like, here's 2 more designs. You scroll through a bunch of stuff, like, here's 2 more designs. And I'm like,
they have the insert type and then the base type, though, don't they? Where it's all there and you can see all of them. Like,
yeah, you could see that.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
but like,
most
of the dice that we look at, though, they're just kind of like, here's the 6 or 7 color options, design options that you have, right? And I'm looking at this, and I had to scroll pretty far to find it. But oh my god, when I saw the blood moss dice,
that's what.
Yeah, those are
on
great.
The insert one, that's what I was looking for.
Those are really cool.
They're so beautiful.
Gotta scroll up to find those. I scrolled pretty far down.
They're all the way at the bottom of the page. They're all the way at the bottom of the page. They're almost a very long thing.
That's cool.
So that's what I'm saying, though, right? Like I wish that all of that was like together very early, because that would make a little bit more sense to like decide what you really wanted. Yeah. But I'm sorry, I'm getting like a little bit too like annoying with like how picky I am. But I didn't like having to like search through this whole page to find the dice I really liked. I wanted to be like, all right, everyone pick their favorites, but it's a little difficult because they're all over the place.
Because
they are kind of all over the place.
On the dice, we pick which one's our favorite. I think we all agree that the blood moss is probably our favorite.
I think the blood moss is the favorite. Yeah.
very elegant, right?
They are. They fit very well with the theme, and I think they are
Dice
the
cups.
strongest one.
They got leather dice cups with Gerald on it.
They have a lot of stuff on here. I think this is a great campaign. I'm going to give this a roll. I'm going to go ahead and say that these are a solid 12 for dice, and then a +1 for the actual just layering of textures, the materials. I think that deserves a nice little +1 there.
Super fun, unique things. Last one. They have a dice wallet. Did you see the dice wallet?
What? Where is this?
It's on.
It's so
I don't
buried.
know. I'm on the wooden
Yeah,
thing.
it's buried.
add-ons.
Yeah,
Down,
it's in add-ons.
down. Dice wallet. I want it
Oh,
because dice backs are like
wait,
meh.
what
This
is-
is so cool.
how does that work?
I don't know, but I want it.
Where do you wear that at?
It's everywhere. You wear it everywhere.
That
goes
no,
with
I'm not
everything.
saying like socially. Where do you wear it at? Like on your what part of your body does it
I think
affect
socially,
you?
I'm gonna wear that shit
It
everywhere.
looks like the only place that would fit is like
I'm gonna put
like,
my actual wallet
like
in that
one of
thing.
those things that you like a garter that like it looks like a garter,
my
like you would wear it
gosh.
as like a garter.
Or like on a belt. Does anybody wear belts anymore?
Yes.
I wear a belt.
But it has a clip. I'm gonna put it on my purse.
That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. Well, we have hit the end of the show. Since we had quite a long show today, we had a lot of very, very big projects. We are going to be skipping fun finds for this week. We've already actually gone over 2 hours for our 9th episode. So thank you all so much. If you missed any part of this stream, it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, Roll for Review, tomorrow. So definitely check that out and be back next week where we are actually going to start a one-shot campaign. So we are actually going to be taking a break from our normal format, and we are going to be starting a one-shot campaign.
Well, okay. Real quick. We are not breaking from our regular format in addition to our regular format. So we will still be back every 2 weeks to do Roll for Review.
That's
We're
true.
not going to stop reviewing
This is an
campaigns.
addition.
But we are
Never.
also going to start doing a little bit of RPGs, which is very exciting.
Based on the
Yes.
Kickstarters that we've supported. So all of the one shots we're gonna do are Kickstarters that we've reviewed and supported.
Yes.
So this is one of the million that Joe has supported.
Yes. And there may be
And
some
then the next
special
month
guests.
will be one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there may be some special guests joining us, some new people throughout as we do some more campaigns. So super excited, and look out for that next week. So thank you very much. This has been Roll for Review, and we will see you then. Have a good night.
Bye.
Somebody loves you.